Hello again, Advanced Higher Historians, and welcome to the first official checkpoint review of our Advanced Higher Topic 1. Yay! Basically, this is us officially halfway through the first topic. We have looked at the collapse of the Tsar and the Tsarist regime and the February Revolution, which kind of takes us to the halfway point. So this is literally just a kind of summary task for the last couple of weeks worth of work from the February Revolution and the war period that we've been looking at, and this question is what we're kind of thinking about. Ultimately together, why did the Tsarist regime collapse moving forward? So the learning intention again for this one is why did the Tsarist regime collapse? And again, we're still within Russian Revolution, and there's three things that I really want you to be able to do with this. So we're going to review these reasons, try to determine the final cause of abdication as far as we are concerned, so a judgment we're going to be making for this one, and analysing why the revolution happened ultimately when it did. So it's kind of just tying in together all the things that we've looked at so far. Reading assignment wise, again, you should kind of be now up to page 74 of chapter 3 of the textbook. I really recommend that you read the textbook. I know I'm giving you a lot of reading things to do, but it is really useful for you to kind of go over, and obviously when we get back to school you will have your own physical textbook and that will be fine. If you are interested in purchasing your own textbook in the meantime, because sometimes you like to have your own and you can highlight things and draw over stuff and things like that, then you can buy your own version if you want to. You don't have to. They are on Amazon. They're about £21.99 new, so they're not a cheap textbook. So again, this is something you might want to do, but you don't have to do that. You can pick up a used one for roughly about £17 to £18, so they're not actually very cheap either if they're used or not, but if you do want a physical copy for you to have on your own, they are available on Amazon, and if you let me know that you want to do this, then I will send you a link to that, but you are under no obligation to do that, and we do have copies at school. It's just if you want your own just now. So this is kind of where we are at the moment, and most of this next PowerPoint is going to be basically just task based, kind of recap and round off your notes. And you do not have to submit anything for this because you are obviously working on your February Revolution essay, which is the most important thing for you to submit at the end of this week. So clip notes version, why the Tsar regime basically collapsed, things that we've been looking at. Like this, we've got failures in the war, both the Russo-Japanese War and First World War. Duma setting up an alternative government in the provisional government, which gives the people something different to go for. We've got strikes, food shortages, the Tsarina and Rasputin, who we have talked about to death. But yeah, definitely their influence over the government and just general bad situation politically there. You've got formation of the Soviets and other opposing groups, with each of the kind of revolutionary people, like the peasants and the workers and things like that, forming these little councils and stuff in factories and stuff. So much more growing opposition who are demanding change and demanding things. The army mutiny, which we don't see in 1905, but we do hear, sick of firing on their own people. Obviously not all of them. The Cossacks still say on the Tsar side, but some of them don't. The Tsar's personality and his leadership, again, remember, not fit to run a village post office. He basically sucks. So he is not a particularly good Tsar, and does ultimately help look towards why the regime collapsed under his control, but not maybe his father's, because one, his father didn't have the same issues that he had to deal with, so we will give him that, but also he kind of is a bit useless. Remember, not fit to run a village post office. Also, the Tsar's attitude towards political change, he doesn't like it. He's not willing to give anything in, even though he signed the October Manifesto. Had he actually gone with Witt's campaigning and things like that to try and give the people more, it is very possible that this wouldn't have happened the way it did, but obviously that is not what did happen. He is very against any sort of political change at all, and Tsarina Alexandra kind of is on that same sort of wavelength and encourages him to think like that. We've got mistakes and misjudgments of the Tsar, like going to the front line and things like that when he really had no business being there, which does lead to his ultimate collapse as well. We've got problems of modernisation and industrialisation in Russia. It is not going well for them. They are trying, but again, a lot of shortages due to the issue with the war and things. You've got social and economic divisions. The rich and the poor's gap is absolutely ginormous. It's like a Grand Canyon gap between the rich and the poor in Russian society at this point in time. So that kind of leads towards a lot of discontent. There's a lack of support ultimately for the Tsarist regime when eventually the Duma say, that's it, you're done, and also the generals say we're not going to support you any longer because they don't want to be blamed for this. So that ultimately leads to the Tsarist regime collapsing as well. So the first task then that we're looking at for this is for you to download a copy of this summary mind map. You can draw your own copy out if you wish, and we're just kind of looking at each of these different reasons. So we've got failures in the war, failures causing these huge casualties, which leads to mutiny in the army. We've got the formation of the Soviets, the Tsarina and Rasputin, the food shortages, strikes, the Duma setting up an alternative government. So also discontent in the countryside. So what you're kind of going to do is you're just going to summarise all the stuff we've been looking at, all of the things in the textbook, all the stuff in the PowerPoints, all the things that you have maybe researched and written in your essay so far, because you have almost finished your essay because you're also wonderful, and you are just going to maybe put 2 or 3 points in each bubble. Try and do them in different colours, make it stand out a wee bit, but what the main point of that thing is. So the mutiny in the army helped bring down the Tsar because, and then give me your reason why. So ultimately what you are making here is you are making an analysis mind map. So this mind map will have all of the factors you could be talking about and all of the analysis points that you would maybe be given in each of the bubbles. If you really want to be super stars, you could also maybe put in an analysis plus point in these bubbles as well. So this helped bring down the Tsar because analysis point, and then you could add in the however it didn't because, and then an analysis plus point for each bubble if you want to do that, and use 2 different colours for that as you go. So you're pausing this slide at 7 minutes and say 15 seconds. You don't have to pause it because obviously you can do this later on if you wish, but use your notes and information to fill it in, and again look for that emphasis on analysis in general. Okay, so you should have now finished your mind map. The next task that you're doing is an extract reading. So Graham Darby, who is an amazing historian, I absolutely love him. He's really straightforward, really good, really to the point, has this great article, Why Was Nicholas Forced to Abdicate? And there's a picture of it here. So you're going to download this. It's a few pages long, about 3 or 4 pages long, and you're going to just have a read of the information, and then at the end of this is some questions for you, just consolidation questions for you to answer. They're on the next slide as if by magic. There they are. There's 10 questions here for you to answer using what you've read in the Graham Darby extract to kind of just answer them. They're not inquiry questions, you just answer them any way you want to, and just kind of concise bullet points if you want to, or just 1 or 2 sentences to answer it, but it's just to consolidate your knowledge for that. So finally, just when we're thinking about why the Tsarist regime actually ultimately did collapse and poor Nicholas ended up out on his ear, we've got political opposition, the nature of Tsarism itself, the role of the peasants, we've got disillusion at the top, so like the role of the elite people and the fact they were no longer seeing the Tsar as this little god anymore. We've got economic factors, so food issues, inflation, problems with shortages in fuel and issues with modernisation and factories closing and things like that. And then we've got the war and the problems that pushes on an already fractured and difficult situation for Nicholas, followed by the fact that the military start to rebel. Deaths ultimately lead to people mutinying and not wanting to be involved any longer in his regime, and ultimately the Tsar's regime does collapse. So you might want to do this as a wee kind of summary, draw it in, do some doodles or something if you want to, that's fine. But this is the end of our first half of the topic and why the Tsarist regime ultimately collapsed and the February Revolution. Any questions or things that you maybe want to check or ask, that's fine, do that in the team, or email me and let me know. And finish off the 2 tasks that are in this PowerPoint and make sure that your essay is uploaded in time.